Lesson 4.1, Terminating and Repeating Decimals. The decimal form of a fraction is called a repeating decimal. Repeating decimals can be represented using bar notation. So in a bar notation, the bar is drawn over the digit that repeats. So a repeating decimal is a decimal that goes on and on and on and on forever. Okay? A terminating decimal is if the repeating digit is 0. So those are the decimals that stop. Okay? The only digit that repeats is 0. So first we are going to write fractions as decimals. Our decimal system is based on powers of 10, such as 10, 100, and 1,000. If the denominator of a fraction is the power of 10, you can use the place value to write the fraction as a decimal. Okay? So if we do some examples down here. Letter A, we have 3 tenths. Okay? So first I always ask myself, does my denominator go into 10, 100, or 1,000? Well, it's already in tenths. When it's in tenths, then we take our numerator and we put it in that spot according to our decimal. So we have 0.3. The 3 ends in our tenths place because that's what our denominator told us. So 3 tenths as a fraction becomes 0.3 as a decimal. Okay, if we look at letter B, we have 3 divided by 25, or 3 25ths. Again, I have to see, does 25 go into 10? No. Does 25 go into 100? Yes. So I need to convert this fraction. I know 25 times 4 gives me 100, and if I take the denominator times 4, I have to take the numerator times 4. So my new fraction, equivalent fraction, becomes 12 over 100. Now I'm in a power of 10, so I can take my numerator and write it as a decimal. So 3 25ths is the same thing as 0.12, or 12 hundredths. Okay, letter C, same thing. We have negative 6 1/2. Again, does 2 go into 10, 100, or 1,000? Well, I know 2 goes into 10 5 times. So if I take the denominator times 5, I have to take the numerator times 5. So my new equivalent fraction becomes negative 6 5 tenths. So again, when I go to write my decimal, I have to keep my whole place. So I have negative 6 points, and then we have 5 in the tenths place, so negative 6 1/2. Okay? So now a few more examples. If we look at letter D, if our denominator does not go into 100, then we just take numerator divided by denominator. Right? So if we look at example D, we have negative 7 eighths. I ask myself, does 8 go into 10? No. Does it go into 100? No. Does it go into 1,000? No. So then I take numerator divided by denominator, and when I do that, I get negative 0.875. And this decimal stops, so I don't need to use my bar notation. Example E, same thing. We have 2 1/8. Again, 8 doesn't go into 10, 100, or 1,000, so I take numerator divided by denominator. This time I have 2 whole places, so I get 2 125 thousandths. Okay, example F, we have negative 3 11ths. Again, 11 doesn't go into a 10, 100, or 1,000. So I take numerator divided by denominator, I get negative 0.27. And this time our 2 and our 7 repeats, so we have to put the bar notation over top of it. And the last one, letter G, I have 8 1/3. I know 3 doesn't go into a 10, 100, or 1,000. So I take 1 divided by 3. And I do that, I get 8 whole ones and 3 repeating. Okay, the last thing we're going to do, we're going to do the opposite. Now we're going to start with the decimal, and we're going to go to a fraction. So when we do that, when we went from a fraction to a decimal, we took our numerator and put it in whatever place our denominator is over. So we're going to do the opposite here. Whatever place our number ends in, we're going to put it over that. So if we look at example H, our directions say determine the fraction of the aquarium made up by each fish. Write the answer in simplest form. So I want to know what fraction are molly fish. So if I go back up to my chart here, I have 2 tenths. Well, the 2 ends in the tenths place, so I know I'm going to put it over 10. So my fraction would be 2 over 10, and then I just have to simplify it. I know 2 goes into both of them, so it'd be 1/5. Okay, same thing with a guppy fish. I go back up to my chart, it's 25 hundredths. The 5 ends in the hundredths place, so I know I'm going to put that number over 100. So I have 25 over 100, and I know 25 goes into 25 and 100, so simplified would be 1/4. Same thing with angelfish. When I go and find my decimal up here, I have 4 tenths. Again, 4 ends in the tenths place, so I'm going to put it over 10. And then I simplify, I can factor a 2 out, so I get 2/5.